And it won't be the last. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cubist. My name is Bill Corey. I am the Cubist, and it's going to be a hot one. Oh, that's the worst pun ever. I must have been channeling co-host Patrick Hillier when I was on Twitter today. Hi, Patrick.
Hey, how are you?
I'm well. Giggles McGee, a.k.a. Kimberly Revia, is over there as well. Hello, Kimberly. You have to talk or else the camera doesn't switch to you. Oh, my God. Fine.
That's why I was not talking.
And then we, of course, have our awesome special guests. We have Carla Kopp from Weird Giraffe Games. Hello, Carla.
Hey, everyone.
Hello. And we have the bearded rogue himself, Mr. Tony Miller, with us. Hi, Tony.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, hey. All right. Tonight, the show is called All Fired Up. I always try to do some sort of clever, weird wordplay thing about whatever it is we're going to talk about. And I was creatively bankrupt this week and came up with nothing better than a pun about fires. That's it. So I almost blamed Patrick for the title of the show. And then I realized that every once in a while I should just take the heat. So our main topic, see what I did there? Take the heat. Come on. Come on. That was pretty good.
It was good.
That was all right. So tonight we are going to be talking about fire in the library. We're excited to talk about this one. Normally we don't do quite this shameless of a topic where we just are like, yay, we're going to celebrate one game. But Tony, for those of you keeping score at home, Tony is a friend of everybody on this show. Like, Tony is one of those guys that we just genuinely love. And so if we can spend an hour celebrating his very first game design to be published and all of the awesome that comes with that, I have no problem being shameless for a full hour. So I know it's real bad. The chat room's already booing me. Hello, chat room. How's it going? I'm aware. Look,
yeah. Hey, you got a boo from Matt Franz. That's
I know that's rough.
That's rough.
That's rough. When Matt's mad at you, you know it's bad. All right. So look, I get it. All right. I'm not a connoisseur like Patrick. That's fine. I know it's not good. All right. Before we get, God, we are so off the rails. We're 4 minutes into the show. Before we get into the show, before we get into the main show at all, real fast, ladies and gents, don't forget, this is the first Monday of the month, which means we are slated for a Cubist After Dark at the end of this episode. So hang in there. Go to the YouTube, if you should already be on the YouTube page chat room, click that bell so you get the notification, and the live event will be right up on the same channel. You can click right into that. As soon as this show ends, we'll launch the next show. Like 5 minutes after this one ends, we'll get people here and gone. We'll invite a couple other folks, and it'll be our Anything Goes show. So hang in there for that at the end of the night. Grab a cup of coffee. All right, before we get there, love you too, Matt. Let's start with our usual first topic. Wow, first section. Crap, I don't know. What we've played lately stuff. We didn't do much in the way of show prep this week at all, so I'm just going to wing it, and I'm going to point to Tony first because Tony feels like he's the most collected of all of us right now. Tony assured me that he had a game he wanted to talk about. Tony, what you got for us?
Yes, the most collected. That's dangerous.
I know, right?
I just love how the show goes off the rails, and it's hey, Tony is a great guy. That's taking the show off the rails. But
have you met us?
The game that I wanted to talk about is one that I have kind of fallen in love with, and that is Majesty for the Realm. I love Splendor. I really like Century Spice Road. Majesty has kind of usurped both of them for me.
Wow.
It gives me the same kind of like mental button presses as both of those games, with less of the overhead in the case of Century. And
okay, so Tony, let's back up just a touch for people that haven't played Majesty or maybe don't know Century. Give us a quick rundown on how Majesty works.
So Majesty is a face-up draft, basically. What will happen is there will be a row of cards in the center of the table, and you will be allowed to choose one of those cards. The thing is that you can take the card at the end of the row for free, or you have little meeples that you can place on the cards that will allow you to go further into the row. So you can just take whatever's on offer, or if you have resources, you can expend those resources to get a little bit more of a, I guess, strategic choice out of it. And it's very much a set collection type game where you are trying to score the majority of the different groups of people. And each one has a particular action when you take it. There's one that lets you attack the other people. There's one that lets you heal your own people. There's some that just get you points. It was designed by the same person who designed Splendor, and it comes with very amazing money, little plastic chip money. So I don't know if that's become a calling card for that particular designer, that the components are super fantastic, but that's one of the other things that's really satisfying to manipulate the coins and the point chips.
Gotcha. Okay. So you said you drew the comparison before I forced you to back up that you really liked Splendor and you really liked Century, and then this killed both of them for you.
Yes.
Does it feel similar to those but just better, or is it its own animal?
It feels similar to Splendor in that you are acquiring the cards over time in order to build your engine and advance towards the end game. It very much is like a set collection engine building game. Okay. The thing I like about it over Splendor is that and Century for that matter, is that there's a lot less fiddliness to it. In Splendor, you're converting chips into cards to get new cards, to get new chips, to get new cards. This is very, very quick. Like, you take a card or you play meeples to take a card, and whatever card you take the meeples that are on it. So turns are really, really fast, and there's a lot less manipulation of pieces at the table. So like Century can kind of become that whole, I play a card to turn these cubes into these cubes, and then I play a card to turn these cubes into these cubes, and then I play a card. This doesn't have all of that, all those conversion steps kind of bogging it down. Okay.
Gotcha. So I'm going to guess, since you said you really loved the other two, and this is even better, that on the Cubist scale, you may be giving this, I will let you say it. Is it a buy it, play it, forget it, or burn it?
I personally would say buy it, especially if you have any interest in either of the other two games that I've mentioned. I think it kind of blows them both out of the water. If you aren't interested in either of those, I would still say play it, because it's really quick. You'll be done in like 20 minutes or so, and you'll know at that point whether or not you need it or not.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Well, that sounds interesting. That is Majesty for the Realm. Let's see. I pulled up the BGT page. Designer Marc Andre. See, I can even say these, Patrick. We won't have to engage your professional mispronunciation skills.
Okay.
Very cool. All right. So that's a buy it from Tony.
Yes.
Kimberly, how about you?
Hello. I'm going to talk about Steamrollers by Mark Garretts. I'm hopefully pronouncing Mark's name correctly. It seems like that's like how you say it. What? No, what? No, I'm done talking to you, Patrick. I love you. Steamrollers is basically a train game meets a roll and write. It is very similar to Age of Steam. On your turn, you are going to, if you are the active player, roll three dice. 3 dice and an action die. Like regular D6s and an action die. And then you can do a variety of things with them. You can either mark off making your train go further. The more X's you have in your train, the further it can go. Towns, cities, just like in Age of Steam. You know, your length of your train is how far you can travel. Or you can deliver a good from that number to another number, as long as it's connected, and there are different color cubes on each thing. We only got to play it at 2 players so far, but I enjoyed it.
Okay. Are you in general, just to give people a baseline, I know that most of the people that are watching the show have watched before, so we might only be preaching to the new folks here, but you're in general sort of a fan of roll and writes anyway, right?
Yeah.
Ish? I mean, you're not
I don't like seek them out, but I enjoy them. They fit that nice, small, quick play, easy to teach typically.
Sure. You're not the Suzanne Sheldon evangelist.
Definitely not. No, but
Okay.
I do enjoy them.
Okay.
If you ask Matt, he will tell you I hate them, and I don't know where that came from. We play them constantly. So
Matt says a lot of things. We know that.
He's the worst. Yeah.
He is basically the worst. That's all right. All right. So steamrollers.
Steamrollers.
Rolling
I
rate.
don't have it here, so I can't show you. I'm sorry.
That's fine. But on the Cubist scale, buy it, play it, forget it, or burn it.
Ooh, if you like train games and or roll and rides, I would definitely mark it a buy it. It is a heavier roll and ride than a typical roll and ride, though.
It's real expensive on the geek market at the moment.
Is it?
Holy smokes. Yeah.
Can I just say, though, it was a Kickstarter that fulfilled like 2 months early.
Okay.
Early.
That's exciting. That is
insane. Yeah.
I think every Kickstarter that I'm currently waiting on is late at the moment. Like none of them are on time or even going to be on time. I think literally I get like 3 a week of like, sorry, we're going to be late. It's another month, whatever. So
yeah,
stuff happens. It's not a big deal, but it's very exciting to hear somebody hit their mark. That's fun. So
how big are the pads?
How big are the pads? They are larger than typical.
Okay, so it's not like what was the one that we all didn't like? It'd be
Castles of Burgundy.
Burgundy, yeah, it's not
Castles of Burgundy. The roll and ride is tiny and dark, and the graphic design is awful and not conducive to playing it.
Right.
This is nice and light and easy to read.
Right. Well, I'm just looking at the just one image, and it's just hard to tell the scale of everything. So.
Yeah, it's probably roughly this bit. And it's not bad at all. And it's plain. It's not the prettiest game I've ever played. But really, that isn't going to tank a thing for me.
Matt Roy in the chat, Matt the Worst. Can we just call him Matt the Worst? Is that all right? Matt the Worst says that it shipped this week, so it's going to be artificially expensive. That makes perfect sense. If it's just showing up for that, that's why. So, all right. Well, Tony, I'm really glad that we got your review out of the way first because Tony's microphone has betrayed him. So Tony is going to try and figure that out. And we will move on to Carla. Carla, what have you played lately you want to talk about?
Hi, so I haven't actually played a lot of games lately, but I have played Pandemic: The Cure, which is the dice game version of it. So it Pandemic, so it's a co-op. But it has dice, so it's a little different. There's not the whole map. You have different dice, and when you do the infect step at the end of the turn, you take out 3 dice, you roll them, and you put them based on what the numbers on the dice are. And the dice are not, 1 through 6 dice. Like some of them have a lot of 3s, some of them have 2s, whatever. They're interesting dice, which I really like. I don't if they were just 1 through 6, I think the game would be a lot less interesting than it is. But yeah, so in the game, each player, they have a different role, just like in the regular game. But you each have different dice that you can roll. Like the medic can cure things, so they have all these cures on all their dice. And the dispatcher has all the helicopters and stuff. And I really liked it. I'm doing some research into co-ops and dice games, so that was a perfect first venture into that. I would say,
you don't normally play co-ops very often, Carla? Is that not your thing?
Pandemic. I hate it. I hate it.
Okay.
It has that whole alpha gamer thing where it's we're just playing Pandemic again. It's the same thing that happens every time you play Pandemic. I mean, it's slightly different, but I like some co-ops that are the semi-co-ops where stuff is hidden, Dark Moon. I think it's called. It's the Battlestar. That's not Battlestar
Express.
Yeah. That one is cool because you roll your dice and you're behind a screen, so you can lie about what you have. It's great because nobody can tell you what to do really because they don't know what you have. So
they might not trust you even if they did know what you have.
I don't let anybody tell me what to do anyway, so that's my solution.
Stop telling me how to live my life. Perfect. All right. So Pandemic: The Cure, the dice version on the Cubist scale, Carla, is it a buy it, play it, forget it, or burn it?
I would say it's definitely a play it. Because co-ops, they're iffy. But I think this one's a good co-op. If you like co-ops a lot, I would say it's a buy it. But otherwise, just play it and see if you like it.
Gotcha.
Another solid thing about it is it just plays really fast.
Oh yeah, it's 30 minutes. It's like it's over in the appropriate amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's always nice to have a game where even if things are going wrong, it only takes like a little bit for the game to sort of wear off and you can be like, okay, well, that was terrible. We can try that again. Yes, exactly. Perfect. Very good. So I really like Pandemic to Cure. I too didn't love Pandemic, and Pandemic to Cure was sort of the fix for me. So I'm right there with you on this one. Awesome. Patrick.
Yes.
What you got?
I have behind me Aura et Labora. It's been around for a while. I don't actually know the dates. I didn't look it up because I suck. And
I will look it up for you. Keep going.
Thank you. I did a trade a while back. I threw up Kemet on my game shelf.
That probably hurt.
And wanted to get rid of it. And somebody made me an offer for Aura, and I picked it up based on rave reviews from Travis Hill and other folks of his like. One of the reasons because it has solo modes, and I always pick up games when they have a solo mode. So I came down to my game library looking for something to play, maybe some Terraforming Mars or maybe some Clank, and I saw unplayed Aura Labora sitting on my game shelf and said, well, maybe I'll finally learn how to play that. So I brought it upstairs and I watched a video. I forget the German guy's name. He's Austrian or German or whatever. He does all these great videos. Taught me how to play it. And
Michael Weissner?
Could be.
He's really good.
Yeah, he's really good. He does a lot of really good videos. And just I got into it and played it. Didn't do it perfect. And I played it twice this weekend. I did it, I think, Saturday morning and then again Sunday. And just really enjoyed it. It's a really good puzzle of kind of like, hey, you know, you start off with nothing and you're building this engine and creating wheat and wood and making beer and making whiskey, and you sell that off at the end to get victory points. It's just your basic Euro, but it's finding that engine. So
I in the pre-show, Patrick and I were talking a little bit about this because we were going over what he was going to talk about, and of course, Patrick always has his prop behind his head of whatever it is that he's about to talk about. So we always have a little bit of an inkling. Mm-hmm. And I have only played this like twice, and both games I recall having no idea what I was doing, but sort of being a little bit confused and maybe not super impressed. But now, because that would have been back when it first came out in 2011, and my game tastes have changed so much over the last 7 years, I really want to go back and revisit it.
Right. The other really interesting thing it has this sort of wheel that turns. So every turn you move this little wheel, and the goods fall behind in the wheel. So once you activate them, you move them as far ahead on the wheel as they can go. So, you know, there's this not push your luck, but kind of waiting element of I'm not going to get gold or sheep or whatever right now. I'm going to wait until it gets farther behind in the track so I can get more of it.
Sure.
You need the good. Yeah. So you might have to get it sooner.
Yeah. The wheel mechanic has been re-implemented a few times. I want to say Palaces of Carrara does something like that. Doesn't Glass Road use it too? I actually haven't played Glass Road, so I can't.
Has a similar wheel. Yeah.
I mean, and that's Ube too, so that makes sense. Solarius Mission uses it. That whole wheel idea where the wheel turns and then things get cheaper the older they are on the wheel.
Yeah. Glass Road definitely.
Aura is where this started. That's this is the first game of that.
Right, but everyone just talks so highly of it. That I wanted to give it a try.
It's pretty rad. Rad. All right, so Patrick, Aura et Labora, with the knowledge that it is that's actually not as expensive as the other one. So Aura et Labora on the Cubist scale.
It was pretty hard to get. Well, I've not played it multiplayer, so I can't really say. And the multiplayer just has these really funky rules that I don't understand yet. Of you know, you go once, twice, and then the second guy goes once, and then you go. You know, so I'm gonna say play it because I just don't understand the game enough to say it's great. Everyone talks about how great it is, but as a solo game, it's been fun. But
very good.
I can't.
All right, so Aura et Labora is a play it, and I take back what I said. Amazon has it on sale for $230. So never mind, it's not cheap, and I was wrong. There you go. All right, real fast. I am not going to go into super great depth about this because I'm going to do a live stream. there is a Lord in heaven. I'm going to get a live stream done sometime this week. All of the chaos has finally died down around here. And I will have my game space back where I will be able to do, see how I snuck this in behind me? I can't do like him, but I'm going to be doing a live stream of Good Dog, Bad Zombie, which is currently on Kickstarter right now. This is from Make Big Things. Brian Van Slyke and Evan Rowland are the designers of this. This is a co-op game where you are a dog. You are either, hang on, I got this, Captain Woofster, Wayne. Where's Wayne? Come on, get in there. There we go. Lupin, or my personal favorite,
Lupin.
Ms. Fuzzy Ears.
Nice.
You are one of these 4 dogs, and your job is to rescue humans. And the dumb humans are wandering around the city, which is made up of tiles with silly names on them. So, for instance, there might be like Food Street, or Cage Friends, or the Treasure Cave, or the Tall Things, or whatever. The board is made up of 3 of these, and there will be humans. You'll have scent markers out there, and those scents will hopefully lead you to humans. But meanwhile, there are zombies that will kill the humans if the zombies get in the same space as them. And every time a zombie kills a human, you go up one on the feral tracker. And if you hit the end of the feral tracker, you have forgotten what the love of humans feels like, and you lose the game. But if you can rescue enough humans and get them back to Central Bark, yes, puns for days. If you can lead the humans back to Central Bark before you go feral, then you win the game, and you have to rescue X number of humans. And you start the game with different numbers of zombies based on whatever difficulty you want. So the more zombies you start the game with, the more there are. The zombies actually function sort of similar to the disease cubes in like Pandemic, in that they don't actually move. It's just if they are already there, then they will spread to other places, right? So they physically don't move. They just, if another one would go there, it then goes to the next space closer. So they will start to work their way in as like a mob. And you can play cards. It's basically an action point game. Again, very similar to Pandemic in that you have X number of action points. You can play cards to do extra actions, or you can use basic actions like move or bark or whatever. It's ridiculously cute. The art is pretty awesome. It is more challenging than you think because it has this slightly silly theme. You originally go into it thinking, this is freaking adorable. And then you start playing and you're like, holy crap, there are zombies everywhere and I'm screwed. But it does some really neat stuff. One of the things that's cool is that when you rescue a human, you draw a card, which gives you the name of the human, why they were lost in the first place, and then some little special ability they will give you. So like you actually get personalized, oh, I found Samantha, who is a babysitter who got fired last week or something like that, and then so there's a little evolving emergent story in the game that I really dig. It is currently on Kickstarter right now, which is why I have a preview copy of it. There is a link in the description for this YouTube video if you want to go check out the Kickstarter. They have a pretty good video on there and a couple of reviews. Or, again, if you are subscribed to the YouTube channel and you turn on that little bell, I will do a live stream, like I said, hopefully later this week, where I will actually play through the game, do a full teach and whatever. So I can't really give it a buy it, play it, forget it, or burn it. I think it's pretty cool. I think it does a lot of really neat stuff. They are also, and I am a failure and failed to bring up the thing, but I believe, if I recall correctly, they are also, yes, they are partnering with One Tail at a Time, which is a no-kill, all-breed dog rescue. So the idea is that every backer level starting at $75 or more is going to allow them to purchase items from One Tail at a Time's wish list. So if you back any of their higher tail stuff, they're basically donating to a no-kill shelter as well, which I think is really cool.
That's a pretty great Kickstarter add-on.
Yeah, yep. That's not a bad way to get people to give a little bit of money. And then there's even more goofy stuff, like you can have your own dog in the game. Actually, that's no longer available. But no, you can.
But there was.
No, you can. You can have your dog illustrated in the game if you feel like it. It's pretty rad. So anyway, check it out on Kickstarter. There's a link in the description. Nice. Speaking of stuff you should check out on Kickstarter, of which there is a link in the description, because Bill is actually paying attention like 3 weeks in a row. And remember to do stuff before the show starts. Yes. I know. Here's the deal. It only took me 66 episodes, but eventually I start to remember this crap. It's very exciting. Weird Giraffe Games has this little game called Fire in the Library currently on Kickstarter, designed by our very own Tony Miller. So, Tony, I play tested this game 2 BGGs ago.
Yes.
And if you forgot my name in the rule book, I will be eternally hurt. I'm just throwing that out there. No, I'm kidding. So, but before I start pouting in earnest here, walk through how Fire in the Library works real fast.
Okay, so Fire in the Library is a pressure luck game, and so you are reaching into a bag that is filled with cubes, presumably books. Some of these cubes are also red. That is fire. Fire is bad. You do not want fire. So your goal is to try to grab... Yes, fire is bad. Exactly. It's amazing how easy that rules explanation is for people. Anything that's red is fire. Fire is bad. So you are reaching into the bag in order to rescue books. Books are worth points. Points are good. Yay. You want to have the most points at the end of the game. So your goal is to reach in and grab books and score points. The difficulty is fire will end your turn. So you want to try to avoid the fire and try to get all of the books.
Yep. Now it's is it any, as soon as you get your first fire, it ends your turn, or do you get like 1 or 2 or something like that? Help me out.
It actually depends.
Yeah.
So there's a variable turn order in the game. And other than the first round where it's dealt out randomly, players are going to select their turn order based on reverse point score. So if you're in the lead, you are going to be given whatever turn order the other players at the table give you.
Yep.
The reason why this matters is that each turn order comes with its own carrying capacity in the middle of the card, and those come with safe and risky spaces. Safe spaces are great because it means that if you draw a fire in a safe space, you're okay as long as you don't draw a second fire. Risky spaces, any fire ends your turn. So the first player who's rushing in has just 1 safe space on their card. So they have the biggest risk of their turn ending due to fire. However, they also are the most brave, which means that they get more bonus points the more cubes that they actually draw from the bag. So there's this kind of balance between, do I really want to push my luck and get more points and take more risk, or do I want to try and sit back and be a little safer and just guarantee that I'm going to get some points, even if it's not quite as many?
AKA being the weenie is, I believe, what I referred to it as when I was playtesting. It's like, weenie, whatever. No, so it's a risk versus reward thing. The bigger the risk, the bigger the reward will be. Absolutely. And then you play X number of rounds, and the person with the most points at the end wins, right?
Yeah, in this case, you'll play until the library, one section of the library is burned down.
Okay.
At which point, it's not safe to go into the library anymore. So we're going to tally up points and figure out who won.
Gotcha. Carla, when you first saw Fire in the Library, how did you, was this an instantly I fell in love with this case? And don't worry, Tony still will love you no matter what you say here. You can even, but like what was your first impression of this?
I really liked the game the first time I played it, which is really rare because I kind of hate pressure luck games. So like I really liked it because I was like, whoa, this is a pressure luck game that I'll actually play and enjoy.
Gotcha. So this is not a genre of game that you would normally gravitate to, but you had a good time with it anyway.
Yeah.
Was it the theme? Was it Tony's lovely locks of hair? Was he just that charming?
So I did like the theme. I really like weird themes, and I love libraries and fire, and that was good. But
the fire bad. You're not supposed to like the fire. Fire bad.
We did just discuss that.
We just covered this.
The key is to just find yourself a publisher who's a pyromaniac that loves books. Apparently.
But I did like that it was your choice if you burned or not. Like in some pressure luck games, it's like you roll dice and you're like, well, that's what I rolled and I suck, so I lose. So I don't like those games.
And then there's the other half, right? So like, there's what I call the can't stop conundrum. We'll invoke the mighty Tom Bassel for a second here, where he was very famous for saying
something bad.
He has to win the game in one turn, or like he refuses to just stop. He will either play the entire thing and just keep going.
Can't stop. very literally.
Yes, it's a little bit more literal than he perhaps needs to be.
Yes, the title is a command.
Exactly.
Thou
That is
shalt
cannot
not
stop.
stop.
literally cannot. So I mean, there's that other end of it, right? Like there's some games where you just get instantly boned and then you're screwed. There's other games where you can basically remove any choice from the game by playing it on autopilot. I am also reminded of, it's not really plus your luck, but it's sort of that thing where you can choose to completely disengage with the luck side of it if you want to. And this, Tony, did either one of those dilemmas pop into your head during the design process? Like, obviously, you've played other press your luck games. Were you inspired by any of them?
Oh,
Good
I love press your luck games. Unlike Carla, press your luck games are totally my jam. So I initially set out just wanting to design a press your luck game. So Can't Stop, Ink and Gold, Celestia, formerly Cloud9, and a lot of the other press your luck games of that type are something that I genuinely enjoy. And we did go through a lot of those growing pains in the development and design of Fire in the Library. The early version was very unforgiving. Fire was just bad in general, and game over, turn busts. And we managed to change that once we got the amazing Jason Kotarski to score 0 points in a game. He managed to detect fire with his fingertips every time he reached into the bag. So we thought maybe we should do something about that, which is where tools initially came from. We also ended up introducing some other elements to the game, like the risky and safe spaces, because of that element. It is like there is luck to drawing cards from a deck or pulling colored cubes from a bag. So some element of mitigation for that luck was something that had to be put into the design, or like you said, it kind of is autopilot. Your only choice is, do I keep going or not?
Right. So yeah, having that extra moment of agency where you can use the tool cards. Yeah. And I don't know that the tool cards existed back when I play tested it. I think I was pretty early on in the process, so I don't recall them.
You were. Buckets may have existed at the time. Yes.
That I remember.
That was the initial tool, was the bucket. And it was specifically the compensation for, hey, you scored no points last turn. Here's a token that'll make it so you can score points next turn. Which is just the rational human mind going, you know what? And John and I sat around, we're like, we got to do something about this. What do we do? Well, if I run into a burning library and I try to save books and I fail, what's the one thing I'm going to bring back with me the next time I run into that library? Well, a bucket of water, underwear. Obviously. We were still operating under the Library of Alexandria theme, so asbestos would be a little out of. They hadn't
invented asbestos underwear yet. Yeah,
no.
That's fair. All right.
So a bucket of water was pretty much what we thought of as, yeah, you're going to bring a bucket of water. And so it was kind of the first tool. It still basically does what it used to do. It just kind of now has morphed from being a token into being a card, into now being one of many tools that you can use to help you in rescuing the books from this library.
Gotcha. I'm going to throw it to the co-hosts. Have both of you, Kimberly and Patrick, have you both played this? I know Kimberly has.
I've played older and newer.
Okay. I was going to say, you played it with me. I think we were at the same table. I think so.
Oh.
I don't remember. Well, that was your. I think that was.
I love you, but I don't know. Maybe.
Oh, that's fine. I don't. Okay. So, did you, as a third party who does absolutely not need to kiss up to either Carla or Tony, even though they're sitting right here and judging the crap out of us watching us live here on the internet, how did you feel? How did you feel about the changes between the older version and the newer version?
I don't remember a whole lot about the newer version because it was like 3 a.m.
Yeah. Okay.
At Origins, and I didn't do the full play. I watched the lovely Levi and Sarah from, oh my gosh, I can't remember the game. Thank you, Daily Magic Games.
Gotcha.
Play. Okay. I joined in a tiny bit, but I didn't do a full playthrough. I know that I enjoyed the original version. Sure. Yeah, and I tried to parse together what all of the new tool things were. But there definitely were some changes in there, and I didn't get a full playthrough.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. All right. So Tony loves Press Your Luck games and was inspired by them and set out to make one happen.
Mm-hmm.
Carla hates Press Your Luck games and likes this in spite of herself, right? Like goes into this conversation going, this is not my jam, but this is still pretty good. Walk me through how this conversation, how you get somebody that doesn't like Press Your Luck games to even want to sit down and play this thing. Because there's got to be a certain amount of bias there, right? Like how do you get past that bias and get, or actually, let me go to Carla
Just
first.
in
Carla,
general.
how do you conquer your own biases as a publisher? Like, how do you get past what you may personally like or dislike and judge a game as publishable or not publishable here?
Well, I think it's not that hard to just like well, the first time I played Fire in the Library, I wasn't playing it as a publisher. I was playing it as, a friend, a designer to give feedback on what I liked or disliked. But as a publisher, like, sure, there's like, I have a list of like mechanics that I don't like, but and usually when people pitch it at me, like if it's not something very interesting, I'm like, hey, thanks, but no thanks. But if it has like something extra, like if it has a really unique theme or the person, people, like if I like the person a lot, I can be like, okay, I might not like this game, but I could work with you and I can maybe make it into something that I do like.
Gotcha. Okay. And I think, it's funny. We've talked about this on the show before, is that sometimes it's very easy to forget how small this pond is that we're all swimming around in and how important these personal relationships are, right? Like, I mean, it's a big deal to be able to work with somebody that you don't want to choke the bejesus out of, because you're going to have to work real closely. Well, I mean, you're going to have to work really closely with that person a lot for a long time before this actually hits the shelves. So if you don't like somebody, it's going to suck no matter how good the game is, right? I mean, yeah, for sure. And I mean, Tony's all right. He's we won't tell him. No. So Tony, you're going, like Carla's playing this as a friend and a game designer. You're pitching this. This is your very first published game, but this is definitely not your first like game that you like had out and played with people, right?
Not even remotely.
When was the first sense that you had something special here, that you had something that you could see ending up in a box on a shelf?
So, a lot of my other games, I've pitched all over the place, and various publishers have expressed interest. Some of them actually were in line for publication before, but the license, the person who held the IP turned the game down, even though the game company itself was interested. So I've gotten close a couple of times. Where I knew this one was special was where I was at Gen Con last year, and I'm pitching it to publishers, and the response I'm getting isn't, oh no, we'll call you. It's, this is a really great game, but I already have a Press Your Luck game in my line, so I can't pick this one up. Or I would sign this game, but looking at my my slate of releases, this game is going to be coming out sometime in late 2019, 2020 time frame. So if you're interested, we could go forward with that, or you could keep pitching it around and see if you could get something closer. So
the pipe,
yeah.
But the bane of my existence.
Yeah, the response was markedly different, though. A lot of the other games will get like one hit with a publisher, will be like, yeah, this is really cool, make these changes and bring it back. This one was just universally like, yep, this is good, sorry, can't do it, or yep, this is good, we could do it 2 years down the line.
Sure.
So,
and then Carla is like, hey, this is good even though I don't want to like it. Also, I am a weird giraffe. What do we do next? Like, is that did I sum that up well, Carla?
Yeah, that's essentially how it went.
Also, I am a weird giraffe. I knew I was going to nail that line.
I really was expecting Carla to be a little bit more spotted.
So the chat room has been putting questions in here, and I have been scrolling madly up here trying to hit them. So I've got other questions of my own. But first, since we're here, why is the giraffe weird? According to Matt Prince.
So my name is Carla Kopp. Okay, that's important. But the giraffe has one cousin, like one other thing that is in the giraffe family, which is the okapi. So when I was making a game name or my game company name, I was like, well, my name is Kopp. I love okapis. We could be Okapi Games with my name in it, and nobody understood what I was doing.
Your reference was too weird even for us nerds, huh? Excellent.
Yeah. It was like no one understood. So then I went to like, okay, so the first thing you would obviously do after getting like completely rejected on a name is to go to Paint and just pixelate like a little weird giraffe, right?
As you do. I mean, yeah, right.
You pixel things like one pixel at a time. So I did that and I was like, hey guys, I made a logo too. And they were like, what? So I put in like
story ever. This is great. All right.
So I put in like an hour, to like pixelate this little giraffe so I can like get rid of it. So like I changed the name to Weird Giraffe because the okapi is a weird giraffe. Have you seen one? Okay.
No, but now I have. No. How do you spell it? I'm gonna look it up right now.
Okapi.
Lokapi. All right, you keep talking. I'm gonna get one up here and I'll screen share.
Okay. It is like a forest giraffe and it has zebra stripes on its butt.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
What in the
Yeah, it's like
this thing? Hold on. All right, we got this.
It looks almost like two different animals stitched together.
Yeah, it's
and
like
it wasn't like discovered until 1901 because like you wouldn't. Why didn't they see the giant forest giraffe?
Why wouldn't you see the giant forest giraffe? All right, hold on.
We're
Here's
waiting
me
for the
screen
screen
sharing.
share. Okay.
All right, I'm working
I was
on
getting
it.
very impatient here.
I'm trying so hard. All right, so that is an okapi. That is a super awkward looking animal. That is the most confused looking animal.
Pieces of other things together.
I can't just. That looks sort of like a pissed off deer that stepped in some paint or something.
Yeah, it's a deer that got into some war paint.
What the hell is that? This is real too, right? Like,
it's real.
Yes,
make this up. That is super weird. All right, well,
this is not a Sasquatch or some other fake animal.
Hey! I once asked if narwhals were actually real. I don't want to talk about it. It's fine.
So
These don't seem like they should be real, Bill. I agree.
That doesn't look right.
Just like pieces of other animals stuck together.
It is April 2nd. Are you
game.
sure that you're not just trying to make this bleed over? All right.
Yes, we actually put up a whole bunch of pictures that show up in Google search prior to our appearance just to make sure that this worked.
Yeah,
that would have been amazing.
So now the keywords, and by the way, if you want to do this, if you Google OKAPI, and the first keyword that comes up is unicorn. And I have no idea. And that's where I'm saying I feel like this is just one big giant internet troll. But that's fine. I believe you. Sorry. That's why the draft. That's the weirdest story I think we've ever told on this show. That's great.
Well, I mean, isn't it a weird
Patrick
giraffe?
is on this show?
It is a weird draft.
I know.
Yes,
it's not the weirdest thing that's happened on the show.
Weirdest story. Okay, fair enough.
Patrick will never live that down. I'm so sorry, Patrick.
No. And we are doing After Dark after the show, so he might not have to. All right.
Oh, wait. Did you just... I feel like you just threatened to get naked on air.
No, I threatened to get Patrick naked on air.
No,
all right.
What means of coercion will be required for that? I don't want to know.
Okay.
Back to the topic at hand.
Boy, remember when our viewers liked us? Those were good times, weren't they? All right, let's get back to this.
Overrated.
Chad in the chat. I want an add-on to get the fire bags, please. Fire bags. What?
Fire bag?
Oh, they're coming in like whenever I get time to do an update.
Oh, so you heard it here first. They're coming.
Probably not first, but yes.
Probably, whatever.
I haven't even tweeted about.
See?
Oh, it is actually breaking.
Dang
Whoa.
it. No faith. No faith, I tell you. All right, there you go. And I'm scrolling. I'm trying to get
Oh, that
through.
was not-
While he looks, I have a question. It says
Go.
1 to X players on
Yeah.
the page, and since I just talked about playing Aura solo, tell me about the 1-player version of this game.
Ooh, yes.
Oh, okay. So there's 6 turn order cards. You get your choice of all 6 of them. So say that you choose to go 6 first. You play as a 6th player, and then you set that turn order card to the side, and you don't get to use it again until you cycle through all the turn order cards.
Okay.
So say that you burn books. Okay, if you burn books, the AI, it scores for the highest value book or section of the library, and then it's your turn again. If you do score books, you turn over the top tool on the tool deck, and it could be like this. Okay, if you can see that, there's banners up there.
Mhm.
So you flip this over, and the banners are the sections of the library that burn.
That was in Eric's thing
That's what I was just
today.
thinking too, Patrick. That was there.
Damn it.
Sorry. I was distracted.
It's actually the amulet that's in Eric's thing. So.
No shame.
Anyways,
Can we
I reckon-
hang on? All right, we'll come back to Eric's thing because
Something
that's
shiny.
it all in a hot second here. Keep going, Carla.
Okay, so you burn the sections that are the banners up there, and then the AI scores for the little circle, like right there. I think it's
Okay.
right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So it'll burn between 1 and 3 colors, and then it'll score between 1 and 3 colors if you score.
Nice.
And then it's your turn again. It's very simple, fast. It plays in about 15 minutes.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Very cool.
Glad to hear that.
Tony, you answered this in the chat room already, but I'm going to say it out loud so everybody that's watching afterwards catches it. How did you decide on the math for how many red cubes versus not red cubes? Was it a percentage on how often you want people to burn out, or was it all by feel? Or
It initially started when we were first designing it. Was initially, let's throw some cubes in a bag and see what happens. Luckily, my co-designer John Prather is a math genius. He's the math guy out of our group. So after several iterations of the game, we decided and trying different things. Like the initial version had a lot more cubes in the bag, which is why they're so small. They just kind of stayed that size because there used to be about 4 times as many. And when you would remove them from the bag, they would stay out for the rest of the game. So you had to have a lot more cubes so that people could keep playing the game. What we ended up doing is deciding that ended up being too streaky. People would draw all the fire, and then suddenly you could draw
After
nothing
dark
but
is
books.
later.
Yeah.
say that again, Patrick.
He's talking about streaking, and I told him after dark.
Oh,
Later.
after dark. Yes. See.
So you would either draw all the fire and then everybody would draw nothing but books, or you would draw all the books and nobody would ever draw fire. So John and I sat down with a spreadsheet, and John went, okay, so how often do we want people to fail? And we decided about this much. And so we charted it all out to see what would be a good feeling for cubes in the bag, assuming that everybody was going to be drawing 5 maximum each turn. What were good percentages that would feel that way? And then once we got a good early percentage, we decided to go ahead and ramp up the difficulty over the course of the game. So as the library burns down, you'll actually add more fire cubes to the bag, making the percentage worse for everybody. So yeah, it was very mathed out at one point after we got the initial mechanisms worked out.
So was the math okay? So in the chat, you said something about your co-designer was your spreadsheet dude, right? Like he was the numbers guy.
Yes.
There was a feel too, though, right? Like for you to have input here, there had to be a feeling. Did you want this to feel tough or doable but scary, or God, this is awful? Or where was the feeling that you wanted to start with?
We very much wanted tension, and we wanted to kind of ratchet up the tension as the game went on. So we started off with it being a little bit easier than we ultimately wanted it to be, to encourage people to push their luck. Like if it starts out too hard, then nobody wants to draw cubes. Like you get one person draw a cube, and then if it's a book, they stop.
Mhm.
So we wanted to make it a little bit easier in the beginning in order to encourage people to kind of push their luck. And then as the game goes on, we introduce more fire and more fire to ratchet up that tension. So by the end, you're very much reliant on your tools for it to be a safe endeavor. But you can still pull off large swings of luck in pulling only books out of the bag. So it's got a little bit of both. But yes, I wanted to kind of walk that line, start it off a little easier and then ratchet up as we go on.
Gotcha. All right. Question in the chat. How did you get Beth Sobel involved here, Carla? I mean, I asked her because she's the nicest person ever.
Yeah, she is the nicest person ever, and she's so great at stuff. But Tony probably has the story.
Okay.
So I lost. I had just finished defeating her in a teaching game of Medici, the card game. Her and her wonderful husband Daniel taught me the game, and I did not have the courtesy to let them win it. That or they're very, very nice, and they let me win my first game. But after that, we were sitting there at BGG Con, and nobody else had really shown up. And she was like, "So do you have anything else to play?" And I said, "Well, all my published games are up in my room. I have my prototypes." And she's like, "Well, put one on the table." So I pulled out Fire in the Library, and we played it. And at the end of the game, Beth was like, "So Carlos picked this up, right?" And I said, yeah, it's officially signed. She's like, "Well, do you have an artist?" I'm 5'3", so things tend to go over my head a lot. So we're having this conversation, and Beth goes, "Well, do you have an artist?" And I said, "Well, Carla's talking to some people, but scheduling hasn't worked out with one, and the other one is working on another project, and we don't want to interrupt them with what they're currently doing." And Beth says, "Well, do you have an idea of a style you'd like for this game?" And I'm like, "Well, I like colors, and I'd like it to be like painterly, like yours." And she's like, "Oh, like mine. So what if I did this one?"
Weird
at which
how
point
that
I
works.
realized, at this point I suddenly realized that I was having a different conversation than the one I thought I was having.
Yeah.
So Beth's like, "Yeah, like this could potentially work." And she turns to Daniel and she says, "Do I have time to fit this one in my schedule?" At this point, like, my heart sinks. And he looks at her and he goes, "Well, you're working on your own Kickstarter. You're doing your own deck of cards. That's 54 separate illustrations. You've got all this stuff that you're working on and all the stuff you have to finish up before that." And she goes, "But look at it. It's not a very big game. We could do this one pretty quickly." And he just goes, "Okay." And at that point, she's like, "Okay, so how do we do this?" And I'm like, I guess you'll have to talk to Carla because she's the boss.
That's awesome. I love that. Like, your response was, "Well, I like colors. Colors are good. Can we have colors?"
Well, I like.
Says the guy with purple hair.
Yes,
of course, you
yes.
like colors.
Yes, I like lots of color. Like, I like games to be more vibrant.
Battle Grande. Sorry.
Well, Beth does amazing artwork. Like, if you've seen Sunset Over Water, which is all over Kickstarter today, or all over Twitter today because people have started getting their Kickstarter, like, her use of color is amazing. I really love Jackie Davis and Quan Chai, who use bright colors in all of their work. That kind of artwork really speaks to me. So when I say colors, like, that's what jumps into my head. And she's really, really good at that.
Yes, absolutely. So Carla, now you have Stellar Leap, which is a game that I am already a backer of and have been, I'm not going to lie, staring at on the shelf off and on over the span of the thing. I'm not going to distract from Fire in the Library, but I mean, you've got a game that is now hitting production and is getting ready to rock and roll, right? Like, we're coming up on the finish line here, are we not?
Oh yeah, like, okay. I got in the first copy today.
Yep, I know, it's sitting right there.
Yay! Oh no, that was the other copy. I got in like a real.
Oh, what?
They have manufactured it copy.
Right. Well, if you feel like staying on after dark, hint, hint. Maybe we'll talk about it, or maybe not, or whatever. Anyway, you already have that. you're hitting the finish line here. Now you've got this game, which is already doing extremely well on Kickstarter. For those of you that are watching and have not already gone to the Kickstarter page, it is not just funded, but well past its goal at this point.
Yeah.
Like it is blown past. It's about 40,000 right now. Or at least last time I refreshed the page. I guess I could do that again. It is, yeah, that's right. Okay, so it's about 40,000 right now. So, and it's still got 10 days to go. So you know that this is going to happen, and this is done really, really well. How?
Look at Tony. Tony's the cutest. Sorry.
Is Tony just trying to be real quiet and be like, I love all the people? Yeah. We're going to let you fanboy out in a hot second here, Tony.
Trying not to cry.
We want you. We need that, man. This is how you get. No, I got you. Carla, all the excitement is here. You've got Beth Sobel, probably one of the most buzzworthy artists going right now, doing the art for this game. You've got a game that's already successful. How, like, where do you go next here, right? Like, what do you do in this last 10 days to, like, what does this part like? Because we always talk to people on the show, like, early and, like, how to launch a campaign. What is the follow through? How does this last part feel?
This last part is gonna be great. Like, well, the first part was like all like interviews and making sure everything is perfect and ready and like getting all the reviews up and so hectic. Well, I also went to Unpub.
Yeah,
like,
you did.
Oh, I'm never going to a convention during a Kickstarter again. Like, no.
We've had a few people tell us that on the show before. Yeah,
just send me every time. That'll work.
Yes,
Yeah.
So Tony won't mind.
There was just no time to do anything. I didn't sleep that much. Well, I'm going to like actually sleep an appropriate amount for the next like 10 days.
Seems like a solid choice.
Yeah, so it's the last part. It's going good. I'll just like, well, I have to make sure to like check all the email and Facebook and make sure all the people are taken care of and comments are done. But it's really like, this is the most laid back I've been during a Kickstarter ever. I was like, I mean, we overfunded. We're doing great. Like, I have stretch goals planned. It's, anything extra is just, it's great.
It's just all gravy at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony,
So
should we let you gush for a minute? How what is this feeling like? Like, I mean, I'm just gonna hit all the buttons because that's what I'm supposed to do. Like, how does it feel to have that?
Miraculous. So like we were sitting there before the day of launch, the 19th. I'm on chat with Carla. And she's like, okay, I'm going to push the button. And immediately I'm thinking to myself, no, don't push the button. No one's going to show up. It's going to be 24 days of agony and me begging people. And she's like, no, I'm going to push the button. And I'm like, don't push the button. She's like, I already pushed the button. And it's like, no! At which point, like, the numbers started moving. And then they just kept moving. And then in 2.5 hours, we were already at our funding goal. And then they kept going after that. And so at this point, it's just unbelievable, like the amount of support that the community has thrown at this game and at us. It feels really, really validating to be able to have something up on Kickstarter and have it, I mean, we're approaching what, 500% funded at this point. Like it blows my mind. I can't even really fathom it. Beth is an amazing artist. Katie Cow, who did the graphic design, knocked it out of the park. It's such a wonderful game to look at and such a beautiful game. Carla's art direction and the decision to make the box look like a book. All of the fancy ideas that she had with component upgrades and the Ultra Edition, which I cannot wait to get my grubby little mitts on. Regardless of whether I ever have another game that signs, I'm going to have the most beautiful version of my first game that I think any designer could ever have. And that's always going to mean something. And, we did this, like, it's my first published game, but it's her first signed game. Like, Weird Giraffes has been successful on the back of her hard work. She's the designer, developer, publisher, editor, manufacturing consultant. She does all of it. And she took a risk on John and I's design, and then it's worked out this well for her. I couldn't be any happier with that. Figuring it all out with somebody who's a friend has been fantastic too. So,
2 things.
And I'm going to stop before I can't say anything anymore.
2 things. Number 1, we've said this on the show a number of times, and I will continue to say it. I am always excited to see good things happen to good people. And
Absolutely.
You are both good people. Carla, I have gotten to know you on Twitter over the last, I would say, 3 to 6 months. You're awesome. Tony, I've known you significantly longer than that. You guys are both good people, and I'm really glad to see good things happen to you. The second thing is that your whole conversation about don't hit the button, nobody's going to show up, wait, don't hit the button, I already hit the button, is literally the entire pre-show for the Cubist every week for at least like the first year I was on this show. So I feel you right there, because every week I'm like, I'm going to hit the stupid broadcast button, and it's going to be crickets and Matt the Roy friend in the chat room, and that's going to be it. That's what we're going to have. I'm sorry, Matt the worst. I forgot. I'm not supposed to call him the Roy friend.
Oh, he can be the Roy friend. That's fine.
That's fine. Whatever. Anyway, I feel you on that. So congratulations, both of you. I like I said, good things for good people. You're the best, and we love you. But that does not mean we are above screwing you over and making you look silly on air. So yes, it is time for our final segment of the show, the rapid fire segment. Patrick,
are we ready?
Well, you have to tell them how it works.
Who gets to go first? At rapid fire, I'm going to ask you 5 rapid questions in succession. You are not allowed to say I don't know. Repeat the question in an effort to gain more time. You are just supposed to spit out the first thing that comes to your mind, and then we move on to the next question. Do you understand how rapid fire works?
I understand, and I will still probably but
Yes, that's fine. Who wants to go?
We have yet to have anybody that has actually followed all of those.
No one,
rules.
yeah, no one does.
No one. We try, but it never.
Rapid fire in the library.
If you haven't seen Steve's episode, Steve did.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Steve was amazing. I forgot about that.
No, Steve's was just so good. He tried to repeat everything 42 times, and he just shaky panicked. It was the best.
We've had a couple full-on meltdowns on this this segment. So,
all right, Tony, I'll start with you.
Okay.
Now I always start off with something a little easy, and then I work you guys into it. So we'll just start off. Are you ready?
Sure.
Name an animal you might see at the zoo.
An okapi.
There you go. Now name the best 2-player game.
2-player game, Shot and Totten.
Name a spice in Century Spice Road.
Saffron.
Name a Sid Saxon game besides Can't Stop.
Choir.
Nice. Have you read or seen A Name of the Rose?
No.
Oh, get to it, mister.
I know, right?
That was ridiculous. You know what? For somebody that was an emotional wreck 4 minutes ago, that was ridiculously well done. Tony.
That was very well done.
That almost upsets me how good you were at that. I was really hoping for a little bit more meltdown, but that's fine. You just keep being awesome. Whatever. Ruin all our hopes and dreams.
Oh no, it's you're asking me to talk, Bill. That's kind of pretty good. It's like asking me to breathe.
You're pretty good at that too, from what I hear. All right,
Carla. You got the gist?
Yes, I got this.
All right. Name a synonym for purple.
Orange? That's wrong.
Yes, there it is.
Yes, that's wrong. Name your favorite 4-player game.
4-player? Seasons.
Nice. That's on your shelf. Name an
that's
area
why I named it.
Name an area control game.
What? Scythe?
That'll work.
Close enough.
Name your favorite card-only game.
Card-only is... I don't know.
I know what Patrick wants you to say.
You got nothing.
I said Colorado.
Colorado's perfect.
Card-only that I played.
Yeah.
Yes. Name the temperature that books burn.
Fahrenheit 452, 415?
451. Close enough.
Close enough. Closer than purple is to orange, anyway. There you go.
Well, that was wonderful.
Yes.
Not
I might
antonym, synonym.
I think I might have a new favorite bad answer.
I think I may have to show up randomly at a convention with orange hair
If you don't show up with orange hair somewhere, I'm going to be really disappointed in you.
and just act like nothing's going on. What are you guys
I don't
talking
get it.
about?
That is beautiful. Nice. And the chat room, like, they're all talking about card games and Sid Saxon. Nobody,
Yes.
no love for the orange. That's beautiful.
I agree with that.
I loved it.
We are to the final cheap plugs section of our show where we give everybody a chance to plug a thing. The obvious one in the link for this YouTube video, there is, or in the description for the YouTube video, there's a link to the Kickstarter for Fire in the Library. Also for Good Dog, Bad Zombie. Check both those up, but give Fire in the Library your money first because they're on the show. At least this week. Carla, what else do you want to plug?
Oh, you could follow me on Twitter at Weird Giraffes. I have WeirdGiraffeGames.com, and there is Facebook, Weird Giraffe Games. Yay!
Yay! I like it. Tony?
Yes. You can find me at Bearded Rogue on Twitter. I am also 1/3 of the Breaking Into Board Games podcast. That is at Breaking Into BG on Twitter. Ian, Gil, and myself would absolutely love if you checked us out and watched us talk to other people who are much more important than us about how you could get into the industry, if that's something that interests you.
Awesome. Kimberly? Queen of choking on water and eating tiny eggs.
I was muted for 98% of that, so it was fine.
It's still fun to watch.
Yes. I am at KJ Revia on Twitter and on the Instagram, and I am a co-founder and organizer of the Granite Game Summit, and I run our social media at G2 Summit on Twitter and Instagram.
Yes, very good. Patrick.
Hey, I can be found on Twitter at I Will Play Red. I mean, at Over the Hillier. Did I get anybody with that yesterday?
No,
I saw.
We saw it. We just I boycott the internet. On
you boycott. I know. Well, nobody likes. I thought it was clever.
Yes.
I'm at Over the Hillier on the Twitters, and I do stuff over at What Did You Play This Week podcast.
You do indeed do stuff there, as do I occasionally, although not this week because, again, I boycott the internet on April 1st. I am Bill Corey Jr. on Twitter. Please feel free to go hit up the CubistPodcast.com for all of your Cubist needs, including the merch shop up there. There's fun merch you can buy there. In the description for the YouTube video, there is the link to our new Pod Pledge page. If you feel like financially supporting the show and you don't want merch, you just want to give us cash money, we don't mind that either. You can hit that link right there on the bottom. I believe it's podpledge.com/thecubistpodcast. The link, the support the show link on the website still goes to the Patreon page. The Patreon is still up, and we're going to leave it up for probably the remainder of April while we get everybody transitioned. The Cubist is a proud member of Punchboard Media, where we all bring something
to the table.
That
was wonderful.
I did not forget. I was accused of forgetting, and I did not forget.
Did you see all of my faces? Am I trying to signal you?
Yes, I had this. I had this. Damn it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're still here, don't forget, watch the YouTube page. We're going to start our After Dark show in just a few minutes. I have no idea how many of these crazy people will still be here, but I definitely will. We will talk about more things then. But in the meanwhile, everybody have a fantastic week of gaming, and we will catch you all next time. Be good.
Thank you. Bye.